So why did I fly off to New Jersey to go hands-on with Samsung's top 3 2023 TVs? How did those TVs look? How did they measure? And what can we learn from all of this? Let's talk about it. Welcome back, neighbor. I'm Caleb Dennison, and I've just decided to embrace the fact that somehow I've become the Mr. Rogers of TV reviews. I guess every new TV is just an opportunity to wear a new sweater and say hello. So, hi. And also, I guess that means that I have to wear 2-3 sweaters in this video. Maybe not this time. Anyway, here's the deal. I got to go hands-on with a 65-inch Samsung QN95C Neo QLED, a 75-inch Samsung QN900C 8K Neo QLED, and the much-anticipated 77-inch Samsung S95C OLED, aka QD-OLED TV. It was a lot of fun, if not just a little bit nerve-wracking. So I'm going to tell you what that experience was like and what I think of these TVs going into the 2023 TV review season. Buckle up, Buttercup, because we have a lot to cover. And hey, while you're strapping in, you know the vibes, clickety-click, supportity, support, thankity-thanks. Oh, and at the end of this video, I'm gonna ask you to leave a comment about something specific, so please do stick around for that. Okay, here we go. So first, if you're wondering why I fly away to check out these TVs while others are buying them and checking them out that way, well, for one thing, I'm not trying to run Caleb's only slightly used TV emporium up in here. Ain't nobody got time for that. But also, this was a 3-for-1 visit. I got to see the S95C, the QN95C 4K, and the QN900C 8K all in one day, which allowed me to make some initial comparisons on top of just evaluating the TVs. But also, I had Samsung people on standby to answer questions right then and there as they came up, which ended up being hugely helpful. Oh, and also, I don't want to actually review these TVs for a few weeks anyway, and I'll get into why that is in just a bit. Now, you might be wondering, well, Caleb, you're literally in Samsung's house. How do you know these TVs weren't specially prepared for you? To which I would reply, first, I'm pretty good at sniffing that out. And I did on this trip, by the way, but also they weren't just set up for me, they were set up for other journalists who came through. And also, it's not any different than when a TV gets shipped to me from the brand in question. There's always going to be variances among TVs off the shelf, and what I get is usually going to be the best possible example, but there's zero evidence to support it's been altered at a root level to be superbly special. And this has always been the case, right? We get an understanding of the best a TV is capable of, and then suss out the variances from off-the-shelf TVs from there. That's why this community is so valuable to me. So let's dig into the TV, shall we? And I want to start with the QN900C 8K TV, because for me, it really sets the stage for the other two TVs that I'm going to cover in this video. I'll go ahead and say that the QN900C performed exactly as expected with one notable exception. Its 8K upscaling was better than I expected. I all but put my nose on this thing looking for upscaling errors, and I was seriously impressed by how clean the upscaled image was. To be clear, I was limited on time, so I watched mostly 4K content upscaled to 8K, which is not terribly hard to do. But I did throw some 1080p content at it, and while I only have my memory for comparison, I still found myself pretty impressed. Compressed content still had the typical banding and blocking, and that's true of every 8K set I've tested, 4K too. But the resolution of detail, the reduction in noise, I thought it looked great. Now, peak brightness, along with black levels and general backlight control, was about what I expected. In filmmaker mode, I got about 2600 nits with a 5, 10, and 15% window, and about 600 nits full screen, so plenty bright, and a bit brighter than I measured on the QN900B last year. And that brightness assisted some in color volume too. It hit about 72% of BT 2020 in filmmaker mode. And obviously the TV can get much brighter in less accurate picture modes. But again, I kind of expected all that from Samsung's flagship 8K TV, where Samsung has historically put its best foot forward, essentially forcing folks to opt for 8K to get the very best performance, even if 8K resolution wasn't going to do anything for them. But all of that about the 8K TV, it's really just a setup for the 4K QN95C because, folks, the QN95C absolutely impressed the living daylights out of me. Now, because of how the day went, I ended up getting 2 shots at the QN95C. Once by myself for measuring, and then again later when we shot the B-roll that you're seeing in this video here with a big assist from Doug. Shout out Doug Murray, thank you very much. Now, first off, the measurements were almost too good to be true. They were so good that I asked Samsung representatives point blank if this TV had gotten some maybe extra love before it was sent to them. Perhaps the factory engineers knew it was going to be viewed by the press, and they acknowledged that on occasion they'll get a sample where they are clearly putting their best foot forward. And I think this was definitely one of those TVs. So how close the measurements I got will be to those that are taken off retail samples will no doubt vary, but there are some aspects of the performance that were clearly inherent to the TV's base design. So let me make this very clear. The QN95C is going to be one of the best LED LCD TVs on the market in 2023, and it might just end up being the best overall when it comes to performance. So the measurement that I got that I just could not believe was around the white balance and color accuracy. The white balance was so spot on, it appeared to have been calibrated. I reset the TV after watching it be reset right in front of me. So, I mean, I think it was set up very well at the factory, better than most that are gonna roll off the line. That's a bonus, but I know from experience that these TVs can be calibrated to that kind of accuracy with no problem at all. But what really impressed me was the improvements in the backlight control. There are more zones in this TV. I want to say Samsung claimed up to double that of the QN95B, although that seems a lot. I'll check on that. But whatever the actual number of zones are means a whole lot less to me than how the TV performed. And while I couldn't get a sense for how much it might have crushed blacks in content, the measurements suggest that it doesn't, by the way. If anything, they may be slightly raised, but this TV tracked the EOTF extremely well. I mean, whatever it was told to get bright, it got it that exact brightness that it should have. That may have been a factory setting as well. But it also mitigated blooming and halo so well. I was just like, wow. That is so impressive. And then the brightness, folks, I wasn't prepared. It came in right around 2400 nits in filmmaker mode, HDR. And you know it can get higher than that for content, and even higher if you choose a less accurate picture mode. So with that powerful brightness and killer backlight control, I mean, we'll have to see how things play out this year, but possibly the closest to OLED I've seen a 4K LED LCD TV get. Mini LED or not. Definitely close enough to want to dig deeper. I cannot wait to get that TV in for a deep dive review. On the not so positive side of things, I'm sad to see the One Connect box go. I mean, last year, that's the only reason to have gotten a QN95B, the One Connect box. But this year, it's a little different. The QN95C is its own super premium 4K product. It outclasses the QN90C by a fair bit, but that still gets me excited about the 90C because that should get close to the performance of the 95B from last year. Also, I wasn't all that impressed with the sound quality, especially given this is a flagship 4K TV and there were multiple bass transducers on the back. I was expecting a little more oomph, though I will say that the object tracking sound feature was doing a great job of creating a stereo field. Again, deeper dive will reveal more. But the big takeaway here is that you don't have to spend $8K to get the best performance from Samsung. And by that, I mean 8K TV dollars, not $8,000. I think that QN95C is going to be one of the hottest TVs of the year. So hot, in fact, that as I was watching it, I began to wonder if this 4K Neo QLED might steal a little bit of the S95C QD-OLED's thunder. Nope, the S95C QD-OLED still won my heart that day. And not gonna lie, a big part of that was because I was so happy to see that QD-OLED performance in a 77-inch model. That really did a lot for me. I know a lot of folks may have been curious about whether the 77-inch size would make all that much of a difference, and well, it really did for me. But let's back up and do a quick reminder for folks who may not have tuned in for CES. What I learned from Samsung Display, which is the arm of Samsung that makes the QD-OLED panel going into this TV, is that the second generation of their QD-OLED technology is more efficient, and has higher peak brightness, both in terms of white brightness, but also pure red, green, and blue primary color brightness. Now, that means that the display panel itself could potentially hit up to 2000 nits of brightness. That's a very exciting number. But as we have learned from last year, that doesn't mean that Samsung Electronics, the arm of Samsung that takes the panel and makes it into a TV, is necessarily going to unlock all of that brightness potential. So there's been some concern that maybe Samsung would cap the peak brightness a bit. And yeah, I think they are doing that to a degree. With the test patterns I was able to use, I clocked that 77-inch S95C just shy of 1600 nits peak in multiple window sizes. Now, for real world viewing, it is possible that Samsung's processor could choose to apply higher brightness when it wanted. And I think we should hold out on final judgment until we can test this TV with real content and see what the TV does with peak highlights for short bursts of on-screen time. But I think being hyper-focused on the peak white brightness gets in the way of understanding how this TV's perceived brightness is going to play out in real life, because the color brightness is just unprecedented on OLED or any other TV type, and that includes last year's QD-OLEDs. One thing I feel fairly confident saying, though, I don't think we can call into question this QD-OLED's viability as a so-called bright room TV, not any longer. I mean, can it get as bright as the QN95C Neo QLED? No, it can't. But when you consider you're talking about pure blacks on the S95C, the contrast ratio that comes from its brightness is just off the charts. I mean, I watched it in a fully lit room with at least 18 fluorescent tube bulbs glaring down, and I was pretty dazzled by the perceived brightness. Now, on the not so glowing side, the TV's out-of-box white point measurements were not great. Red and blue were very hot in the brightest whites and needed some taming down to get the white point accurate. But the out-of-box color, the accuracy was superb, and the color volume was the best I measured all day. 74% of BT 2020 and 100% of Rec 709. And just sitting and watching the TV for about 15 minutes was a real treat too. Wish I could have watched it longer. No red flags in terms of motion resolution, upscaling, or shadow detail. Again, I want to spend more time with this TV. That's going to be absolutely necessary, but all signs point to this being in contention with one, maybe two other TVs for the best TV of 2023. Still, while I think it's fun to make some educated guesses about how these TVs are going to do this year, I also think it's super important to remember that firmware updates can and will happen. I don't think I'm going to be comfortable ranking TVs and pitting them against each other until at least 1 month in, and probably more realistically 6 weeks is a better waiting period. So go ahead, enjoy the excitement for now. It is well earned by Samsung in this case, and by other TV brands that you'll be hearing about soon as well. But do remember that what you hear about these TVs during the back half of February and through most of March, they're going to be mostly early impressions. And I think that this year, perhaps more than any other in the past, it's going to be prudent to see how things shake out after the TVs have been in the wild and any firmware updates they get have been deployed and ironed through. If we learned nothing else from 2022 TVs, it's that waiting a few weeks to indulge our inner early adopter is definitely going to be a smart move. With that said, I think Samsung has some serious momentum going into 2023. Now that I've gotten to sit with these TVs a while, get some early measurements, and just enjoy watching them for a time, there's no doubt in my mind that the QN95C and the S95C are going to be huge challengers for Best TV Awards this year. Thanks as always for watching, everyone. What do you think? Just pull the trigger and get them while they're hot? Or do you agree that cooling your jets and seeing how things play out is important? Let me know down in the comments so we can talk about it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. And until then, neighbor, here's 2 other videos I think you might like.